episode 1080 by 1920. Let's make this 60 frames, please. I can't edit any of those. Okay, so color right. All right. Welcome in. I know. Hey, Jedi. I tried landscape. Obviously, it didn't work for some fucked up reason. I'm not 100% sure as to what caused this problem, but it's obvious. We know that there's not a likeness of what's going on within the app and allowing me to do things. So I guess it is what it is until... Essentially, we can migrate over to a Square platform, and I can put people in using like Video Ninja. Video Ninja gives everybody the ability to, have their own Square 1920 by 1080, and then have access the right way. So,
right.
But welcome in, everybody. I see. Looks like we got. Hey, Stace. Hey, Phoebes. What do we got here? Let's. Minimize this down. Slight change in the old demographic of what we got behind us, obviously. Let me make sure I've got everything set so I can see it, because right now everything is small. This is what happens when you go and test things and try to make them work, and then they don't. Like,
hey, Allie.
Yeah. Ugh. Ridiculous.
They're at Walmart.
I'm sure they are. I'm over here eating mac and cheese. All right. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to Hot Take News. This is our podcast. This is episode 2. I repeat, episode 2. We are fully published on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. So if you don't get a chance to listen to tonight's episode, please give us like only about 48 hours. That's about what it takes. It'll be published on those platforms under Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube Podcasts as well. We have a dedicated channel called Hot Take News Podcast, and that's at YouTube. That's its dedicated channel. I am working with Spotify creators and Apple Podcasts to develop that channels well with their own unique URL, so that way that you can look them up. But in the meantime, over the next couple days, I'll be establishing a link tree for you to be able to get in and click on the episodes as you need or would like, and listen to them at your own convenience if you don't catch tonight's live. So, that's about the only administrative thing I have. Today's podcast, episode 02, is going to be about understanding medical studies and the science behind them. Let me think. Is there anything else that I needed to share administratively?
I think that's it.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, so... As you all know my co-hosts, or I should say all three of us and equal hosts, as I like to refer to us, because all four of us are equally responsible for every aspect of this podcast, the episodes, Hey, Lainey, nice to see you. I was just watching you today. We're all here from different perspectives and different informational backgrounds when it comes to talking about different things that are important in our world. And that can include anything from the LGBTQ to news around us to medicine to you name it, even politics in some ways, shape, and forms. So don't feel like, we just focus on one particular perspective, especially when it came to the lives that we used to and predominantly stood in. My name is Allison. You all know me. Otherwise, Allison Neverland when I DJ, Allison on here. I have our wonderful hosts as well. We have Phoebe, we have Stacy, and then we have Jedi. So give a big round of applause. Show your love as much as you possibly can out there. Send the likes, throw it up there, get the algorithm going. If you feel so courteous, make sure you gift the panel if that's something you wish to do. It's not required. We do this out of the kindness of our heart because we love our community. We love the support that you have all shown us, and we strive to make sure that we can provide this kind of content for you. So I'll turn it over to the rest of the co-hosts and see if there's anything that they want to say in their introductions. Take it away.
Ladies first.
Sorry, I was typing. What am I doing? Introduction? Introduction, or am I talking about the topic first?
Yeah, you can introduce yourself briefly.
Yeah. Hi.
Just pass it on.
I'm Phoebe.
Hey.
I'm this woman. I'm everybody's mom. I know a lot of things. This topic especially.
Does that qualify as you
Hey,
drink
everybody.
and you know things? Just curious.
Sometimes.
Stacy.
Hey everybody, I'm Stacy. I'm one of the other hosts here on the show, and I apologize in advance for the whining, crying pity down here beside me. He thinks I have food and I do not. He's ate it all.
And now that all the ladies of the show have gone, hi all, I'm Jedi. I'm sure you all have seen me around the app debating on historical events, intersex topics, things like that, since I am the resident intersex trans man. The way we're going to run this every week is we have a topic, and if you all have a question about said topic, please feel free to put it in the comments, and one of our mods will pick that up and kind of bring it to our attention if we don't see it. And with that said, I will send it back to Allie to kick us off.
Sorry about that. I accidentally hit the adjustment knob down here and dropped it. Yeah, so thank you for the introductions and your wonderful information to the family on the panel here. Much love as always. For those of you who didn't tune in last week, that the episode we talked about last week kind of carries into some of the stuff we're talking about here. And a lot of the stuff that we panel on in a daily basis when we're engaging with our community. You often hear us talk about when somebody brings up or somebody has a topic on their background, right? And we know that piece of language that we have selected can be interpreted as rage bait, right? We get that. But sometimes it's just there to elicit a really, really complex conversation. And more importantly, you'll hear one of us or most of us say something. We value facts over feelings. And with facts comes things like medical studies, empirical data, substantiated information that's proven through medicine, science, or mathematics, things that are unchanging over time. And because it's there, it plays a significant role in substantiating an argument that you may have on a prospective topic. And right now, we're in a critical age of healthcare analysis that's going on in our government, whether it's trans healthcare, women's healthcare, marginalized groups, even minors' healthcare and their ability to get it or not get it, whatever that might be. Regulations and a majority of those levels are under scrutiny and under fire. And The only way that things get pushed through policy is through substantive fact or objective fact, knowing that you have studies that correlate the information and support your argument and don't nullify your posited position of where you're going, right? Like, it's crucial and critical. You can't walk into an argument and immediately say to yourself, oh, I'm right because this is so cliche because we hear it all the time. I think, I believe, I feel. Nobody is going to take your ass seriously. I hate to say that. Oh yeah, I got to set up a new goal. When I turn over the next point of talking, I'm going to send it over to, I'll set that up. Thank you, Anodian, for putting that out there. But if you want to have support to get your message across and get people to understand what your cause is, you should have, I would hope, a certain level of empirical data that supports and substantiates your cause or your movement. A lot of ours is bound by science, and that's a fantastic thing to have because science has a real thin line or a real thin area of disprovability. And that's why there's the medical science behind it, right? Like, or the science in general behind it, whether it be physics or, astronomy or theoretical physics for that matter, or human anatomy or biology or neurophysiology. Pick any one of those. I mean, they're all applicable, even psychology, sociology, and psychiatry. Even though some people say, oh, those are soft sciences, there's still a fundamental core within science that helps prove causation in different discussional topics. We're currently in an analysis of a current statement, and I'm going to let the other hosts talk about this one while I finish setting up the goal here. But it's very important to understand, if you surround yourself with people who know about this and have the science knowledge and are qualified to make statements about your cause, that helps support your cause and elevate it so that it becomes taken more seriously. If you surround yourself with idiots who drink from a pond full of discarded waste and they think that they're smart because they drink bad Kool-Aid, but they have no medical background, no science background, or anything of that nature, their reputation is not supporting your cause. They're not giving you factual information that's going to say, oh yeah, because of this, it's going to be X, Y, Z. It's important that you surround yourself with professionals who know what they're talking about in those scientific fields, especially when it comes to the studies. So, yeah. Hosts, go ahead, chime in when you want.
I'll start. So a lot of this topic, especially after some of the things that were stated to the public this week, is why we wanted to discuss the topic, especially over the last few years with a lot of the research and everything shutting down, trying to find a solution for that politically. A lot of people don't really understand how it works when it comes to, like, I'm not the only one on the panel that's been in studies, but I've been in, I was in a study for one of the C-19 vaccines, and it wasn't something that I took lightly. My spouse also was interested in doing it, but there was enough people from his demographic because they want to try and get a lot of information from different groups of people. They do have, when they do studies, they do have like limitations on the type of people they get in the studies. And even getting into a study, there's a lot involved because they have to make sure you fit the demographics they need. They usually will do like an interview on the phone, and if that's all okay, then they're going to have you come in for an interview in person. The one I went to, it was a 2-hour interview talking to me about all the things that were going to happen to get into the study, how the study's going to look, if I get sick, how that looks, how if I did get sick and I did catch it, that's going to change how it looks. And because at the time there was emergency authorization going around, what that looks like as well, because it was trying to get information why things were rapidly changing at the time. And it was a lot of having to check in. I was monitored with an app. Like anything changed, I had to let them know. I would get text messages. I had to go in periodically for testing. And then because it was under emergency authorization, when my demographic came up, it is ethically, they had to tell me whether or not I had gotten a placebo or not, and then move on from there. I had gotten the placebo, so now it became comparative data. So that's a whole different set of data in the study. So they were able to kind of look at things. But it was an experience. I do have my packet somewhere. I couldn't find it, unfortunately, today. But just that's one study, and especially when it comes to like more specialized things, and or in smaller groups of people that are going to be affected, then that kind of changes like how you have to look at things. That's all I remember. My brain's going right now. My brain needs a pause.
Stacy?
Sorry, I was trying to get my mic turned back on. Yeah, Phoebe, you're not the only one that has been part of a study. I was part of one at UAB for cleft lip, cleft palate. And I remember a lot of the testing that I went through with that. And that, as a kid, that was not fun. Let me just state it that way. For one of mine, it was a up-and-coming device that they wanted me to try, that they had significant results with thus far, and I was one of the 1,000 that got the first try it, which to me, that was awesome. But when we're talking about trying to understand what we're looking at here, we have to know the entire picture. There's actually lists of questions you need to be asking when you're looking at research papers and looking into what all you're trying to, what information you're trying to gather from the research paper you're looking at. And we all, in our own rights, sit there and go, well, the heading says this. No, you cannot go with what just the heading says. What that heading says is not what's going to be inside the article of that body. That's just to grab your attention and make you read it. When we take one little, probably 3-line thing there, that's the heading, instead of reading the rest of the body that's 20,000 lines long or 15 pages long, we do not have a slight inkling of an idea as to what we're looking at. And I hate to say it, I'm going to literally dive head first here. The whole Tylenol BS. That's exactly what it is. It's BS. We truthfully, there is no true evidence stating what they've said from this administration. So anybody out there with any children that are ADD, ADHD, autistic, hi, I'm ADHD. Guess what? It didn't come from Tylenol. I hate to break it to you. But yeah, go ahead, Chris, Jedi. Or I start rambling again.
So, yeah, so I was looking into the study today that they basically quoted from. And there's a correlation, but not really. So what they did is they took that study and they looked at it and they didn't bother to read all of it. So what it's saying is they were doing a study on autism, and what they were doing was they were asking the mothers if they took anything during their pregnancy. And some of them did say, yes, I took Tylenol, acetaminophen. And what they correlated that to was, oh, that was the cause. But no, the study literally says, the paragraph after all of that, stating that they took Tylenol, and it could be a cause, but probably not, because 80% of autism and things like that is genetic, right? We know that for a fact. That's scientifically proven. The rest of it doesn't come from Tylenol, because the paragraph right after all of that said, hey, we can't say that this was Tylenol. And then they never did a second study, which means to me that they never found any real evidence that got to that conclusion, right? Because in order to do a study, so I've been part of 35 studies. Crazy, I know. So in those 35 studies, 4 of them were repeat studies. And you had to, it was a very strict guideline to get that second study spot. And it had to be, there had to be evidence, clear, concise evidence of what they were specifically looking for, right? So if they were looking for Tylenol as a cause, they would have had to see so much Tylenol over such a long period of time during this pregnancy to cause that. What I did find, though, from Columbia University, because they did a similar study, was that the 80% we all know is genetic, okay? That's been proven scientifically. What they're saying is that in 40% of autistic children, they're finding that the father was over 40. Why that is, they couldn't explain it, but they said that's what it was. Then they said another one was the mother was older, and that played another part in some of the other cases. So basically it all boils down to it's just genetics. It's not outside garbage, right? The legal dose is 2 tablets for a mother per day, for a pregnant mother, right? 2 tablets. That's the legal dose. It's neither, because they couldn't figure out if it was Tylenol or not. So they never did a second study. And this study was from 2022, I believe, Allie?
What, the one that they just quoted?
Yeah.
No, 2019.
2019.
2019.
So you're talking 6 years old, yeah.
Right.
And then I'm looking at one that I just found from Duke that I was a part of. And that was in May of 2022. That's probably where I messed it up. About intersex folks and my specific XXY condition, and how a lot of people who are XXY are trans. That's the one that I just sent you guys. So that's where I got that one from. Yeah, so the biggest thing I could tell people is take things that you hear with a grain of salt, do your own research, and please, for the love of gods, don't listen to people that have no scientific or medical background, because you'll find that 99.9% of the time they are incorrect.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm going to pass it on. Allie, you're up.
So I'm kind of caught between continuing down this part of the conversation and then something that Britt asked, and I think it's kind of important to understand, especially when we're talking about medical studies or studies in general, especially these that pertain to the scientific method. And the question was brought up is, is it meta-analysis or systematic review, which is more accurate or more applicable? Neither, really. When you look at the outcome goal of meta-analysis's main goal is to synthesize a large amount of quantitative data and quantitative data-related studies into one focused and centralized set of numbers in numerics and quantitative results, whereas systematic combines more of the question that's being posited and plausible outcomes that associate to it, and then substantiated with quantitative data, right? Like meta-analysis is going to focus heavily on the numbers. It's very, very prominent in statistics and probability studies, finance, as an example, and forecasting and budget planning. And it can be used too in the perspective of really looking at large control groups in the science perspective. If you've got a large control group and a large patient group and you're trying to analyze how different drugs or different adrenergics work within the body, and you have all of these different substrates of different enzymes that are being affected, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you're going to have a whole lot of quantitative data to synthesize. So meta-analysis is going to be necessary in those perspectives. But systematic is going to combine both the quantitative as well as the theories that are being brought and challenged, right, through the scientific method, going through all of those things and quantifying it and proving with evidentiary support that your conclusion shows this causation. So, you know, it depends. Neither one has a higher ranking in that facet, at least from my knowledge and education.
One thing to also think too, back to like their claim this past week, is trying to do a study on a vulnerable group like someone who's pregnant and having to tell them that they can't take any, or like to do a real good study, they can't take anything but the medication that you were trying to do the study about. And then becomes the ethics of if you're trying to prove that it causes something and you're wanting them to take it, you know, that's kind of a problem versus observing from the outside. Or then tell them don't take it when that group is also limited on what they can take for the symptoms that medication is for.
Well, and you got to worry about, right, the side effects of taking acetaminophen at that dosage anyways. I mean, it's horrible for your stomach, your liver, your kidneys.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that a lot of dosing, especially for adults, isn't always size-based. When we look at children, a lot of that is age or weight-based for dosing them, but they stop doing that as adults. So you have an adult that's 120 pounds and you have an adult that's 300 pounds and you tell them to take the same dosage, which isn't necessarily great. It's better if you have a more specific dosage from your doctor that can like try to get you to tailor it.
And correct me if I am wrong here, because I think we've kind of brushed on this one already. With the study that our government was trying to quote, it was essentially tabled and put away way back on the back side of the burner, not even left to simmer. They turned that burner off and just said, no, we're not going to worry with this. We don't have enough evidence. And we have this pandemic that we just went through coming in. And I mean, people think that just because you have one study that says one thing and it was like 2.68% on the high side, that doesn't mean anything. In scientific research, 2.68% is very minuscule. And people need to understand that whenever they see that doesn't nearly have a true number to it, because you had less than 1,000 people in that study.
Right. I was going to say, when you compare the control group to the percentages of the findings, I mean, yeah, so you had 996 or 998 observable patients. Okay, so what's the control group? What was your methodology there? I didn't see that in there. I mean, I'm not saying that the study wasn't valid. Don't get me wrong. For those of you who might actually go read that or have access to it, when you know, if you're in the Discord and you pay attention to what we're talking about here, you know, 998 or 996, whatever that number was for the method group, is a valid. That's a valid number of selectional individuals. But then I also ring to question, I believe that there's a point, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong with this was over a period of 20 years or 15 years. So then
Correct.
I beg to, like, I hate to use this debate tactic in that perspective, but that begs to question. There's a differentiation in medicine from 20 years ago versus now, and what's analytically prescribed by your PCP in comparison to your environmental factors of being pregnant, right? Like, no, and Phoebe would be able to answer this for me a little bit better. I do believe no woman experiences pregnancy identically the same all the way around. Am I correct?
Oh, God, I would hope not. I know so. I mean, sometimes you can get the same symptoms every time, which are not great, but there's no guarantee every time it's going to be exactly the same.
Right. So then my brain immediately goes into the conception or the confliction, not conception, but the confliction of challenge mode. Okay, challenge accepted. What other factors medically were experienced within that pregnancy by the mother? What did the baby go through in utero? What other environmental situations or environmental factors played a role into it? Was she in a house? Was it secondhand smoke? Was there different things? Are you in a high iron diet, or are you in a position where you're consuming large amounts of seafood and fish, right? Like, there's so many undocumented pieces in this study that I would beg to question, right? I want clear and concise. This perfect point. I am so glad that I've just thought about this. Britt, you're a godsend for asking this question. This is where meta-analysis would be very, very, very required, is understanding these concepts. You're taking 3 different pieces and you're trying to make a substantiative argument to say, oh, they had a large dosage of acetaminophen. That must have been the largest increase in ADHD and autism. But you didn't take into effect for maybe the mom was suffered from possible symptoms of placenta previa or preeclampsia or high iron or iron deficiency or vitamin deficiencies or secondhand smoke. I mean, there's all these different factors that are not played into correlation here, and that makes me challenge the question and confrontational perspectives, right? Like, yeah, I think your study was good. Do I think you maybe were a little bit long in the tooth when it comes to 20 years? Yeah, because medicine evolves. If I think that it's going to be a lot more accurate, I'd do it over 5 years, and I'd get a necessary control group. I would set the minimum requirement. For example, in this study, I want 2,000 observable patients. And if 2,000 patients are my observable control subjects for the methodologies and practice, I want 2,000 of this satisfactory baseline as well. So when I'm looking at this study, I want a minimum of 4,000. Right? 2,000 for the control and the baseline to understand where everything stands. I want everything categorized out. I want to know exactly what every symptom is that's going on. I want heart rate. I want blood pressure. I want EKG values. I want ECG values. Maybe I want a VMO2 from a lung capacity perspective. What are the demographics of the patients? What's their dietary restrictions? Are you on any current medicine? I want all that stuff charted out. I want to understand both sides of the story so I get the big picture. And then I would probably take it back to a systematic approach. Take all the quantitative data, look at all the positive theories and hypotheses that are given to me by my colleagues and other scientists who are doing it, and then pull together a synergistic outcome. And I think that's, but it goes back to what you, Phoebe and Stacy and Jetta, you all 3 said. It's what happens when you cherry pick shit. And you literally pull it like it's a newspaper, and you're like, and for all of you, I know that I cuss from time to time. So those of you listening to the podcast later, I apologize, but it's like, holy fuck, it's a newspaper. Look at the bold headline. Oh my God. And then let me put it out there, right? Like, like, can we stop with that, please? Like, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and I find it funny too, right? That they're crying about Tylenol, right? But they don't cry about all the side effects for Viagra.
No, they don't.
Or the fact that if you use it for more than 2 years, you start having health complications, and it goes down in effectiveness, right? So, and then he just calls out acetaminophen, but what about the 600 different medications that actually has acetaminophen in it? I didn't hear him calling out NyQuil. I didn't hear him calling out Benadryl or, Alka-Seltzer.
Hydrocodone.
Yeah, like he didn't call out Vicks. He didn't call out anything else that has this in it. But he says, oh, don't take acetaminophen. But why?
Right.
Why?
When I think too, when it comes to medication, people also don't realize, like Viagra, that wasn't the original intention for the medication.
Nope.
It's a medication when you are having cardiovascular concerns. That just happened to be a beneficial side effect that people enjoy. When they start talking about banning certain medications, banning medications that are for abortion, not realizing that some of those medications were actually for people to take when they're on high doses of steroids to prevent stomach ulcers.
Yep.
Because stomach ulcers are bad. They just found the side effect was cramping. And that's something people in the medical field learn. I learned that, and so if I work with the medication, even though there should have been no way for it to transmit through my skin, they still would tell us just wear gloves. Right?
Right, exactly.
There's a variety of use for stuff people just don't know.
I would have loved to have been there, Phoebe, during the discovery of the whole entire concept of that medication during cardiovascular assessment, right? So they start working with this, and the next thing you know, they're like, well, ain't that some shit? I mean, I could totally see what the doctor... What, go ahead.
It's also too like Benadryl. People are like, oh, Benadryl is going to make you sleepy. Benadryl can do the opposite.
That's true. That's true. I think, and that kind of segues into the next point of, it's kind of the side topic for those of you listening to the podcast and tuning in at a later time. Our topic tonight is understanding medical studies and the science behind them. But Phoebe and Stacy had a really good subpoint that really ties into this is when you talk about medications and understanding what you're taking and what your doctor is prescribing, there's a reason why he is a professional and he knows how to ensure that the best possible medical health is obtained by taking said medication, whether it's vitamins, whether it's, prescriptions for rheumatoid arthritis, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. You all have been to the doctor, I'm sure. But then it brings to the next question. This study was right before the Panini. And we know that was a really, really dark time and a really, really tough time for people in America. A lot of lives are lost. A lot of loved ones suffered at some very egregious effects from that disease. And shouts out to Stacy and Phoebe for bringing this subpoint up about vaccines, right? Because the first bold-faced bullshit that came across I saw was about acetaminophen and its correlative effects and causation for ADHD and autism, and I just rolled my eyes and thought, what kind of shit show am I in right now? Is this literally real, or am I listening to a movie? And then all of a sudden, 6-8 hours later, an off-app communication, no, Bruce Paninius and pandemic. Sorry, I call Paninius because everybody likes to call the pandemic and people get kind of upset about it. But yeah, anywho, Christina and Stacy and Phoebe were exchanging some kind of message back and forth, and I saw another TikTok, or not a TikTok, but an X tweet that said something about don't take your vaccines except for once every 5 times, and then make sure that they're all separate appointments. I'm like, who in the fuck is feeding this dickhead information? Where does this come from? Did you read the box of the back of a box of cereal, and you were like, kicks are for tricks are for kids, Cocoa Puffs are not for you, cornflakes only. What? How does this make sense? Vaccines every five different appointments? So by that time, you're telling me if you start out at 3 years old for a child or a toddler and you're going through measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, et cetera, right? You get 7 different vaccinations before you actually enter in school, I believe, or something like that. That kid's not going to be 9 by the time he's fully vaccinated. His parents and his teachers are going to be like, nope, put on the mask before your kid comes to school because I don't know if he's been vaccinated.
I pulled up the tweet.
Yeah.
So the full tweet is pregnant women don't use Tylenol unless absolutely necessary. Don't give Tylenol to your young child for virtually any reason. Break up the MMR shot into 3 totally separate shots. Take the chicken pea shot separately. Take the hepatitis, wasn't even spelled right. Hepatitis B shot at 12 years old or older, and importantly, take vaccine in 5 separate medical visits. One spelling. But yeah, go ahead, and then I'll talk about the medical step, the medical part.
I'm reading that along with you while you're reading it there, Phoebe. And take vaccines in 5 separate visits. What? Well, if we're sitting there distributing it out in 5 different doses, you're adding more injections to the child or to yourself than you actually need. And they're already complaining about the number of people that are getting the poke and how many they're giving. Why are we going to increase the number now? Yeah.
Oh, and never mind the fact that there's a reason why we have vaccines for things like polio and chickenpox and measles. Because who the hell wants to be a child and go through that again?
Right.
I remember chickenpox. It was hell. It was the worst 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah, and like my husband had chickenpox. His siblings, they didn't get it because the vaccine came out.
Yeah, I got the vaccine and still got it. Go figure.
I didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah, like there's going to be...
I just got the pox.
There's going to be a small percentage that are going to have some breakthrough, right? But the goal of the vaccines is to really minimize that. Now, when it comes to, like we were saying, he wants each vaccine to be individual. So now that's even more versus having a combination shot. And the reason, like, when they go for visits, and not all of them are shots. Some are like oral medications for a vaccine. So keep that in mind too. That I'm sure he doesn't know that. But they try to get them done at certain intervals because the goal of when you get one is it's going to stimulate your immune system. So it's going to go up and then it's going to back down and it's going to level out. And you have to wait so long between your next vaccine. You want to space all these out. So now it's your immune system every 3 months going up and down and up and down and up because they're getting stimulated every time versus stimulating once, 6 months later, stimulating again. Even when I work with pets, we really discourage that because the other thing in addition to is, are they going to come back and actually finish the series? Because especially with a lot of vaccines, is one booster going to be enough? No, that's why there's usually 2 or 3. And some of the shots, they do have some leeway in the studies for the windows they do, like with the measles outbreaks that have happened. Usually you're not going to get your first MMR until you're 1. But in some cases, they will give it a little early, but that's a case-by-case basis. But just seeing these kids struggle and people not realizing that the stuff we vaccinate for, there's a reason. There's a lot of long-term side effects that no one will know about until later. Some of these things we vaccinate kids for, they're so concerned about kids not being able to reproduce in the future. Some of these things causes kids to go sterile. They need to realize this because we didn't have to catch it as children.
And it's interesting you say that too. They talk about and this is a common conversation that we have when we host lives about trans health and puberty blockers and things like that. Remember, it's not too long ago, and even for me, I'm on lives quite lately, where that's often posited. Oh my gosh, puberty blockers have such a negative impact, blah, 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 blah. And we've done all the research and we've seen the studies, and we have an overwhelming amount of information that shows otherwise. But you're so concerned about children in that regards, and like even DJT with the stuff that he's been putting against transmedical healthcare that's available to individuals that are minors. Okay, I'm confused. You're so focused on that, but now you're coming out and you're saying like these things can give your kids ADHD and autism, but you have no real substantive proof to prove that. But why are you not analyzing all the other medicines that are out there that could cause potential side effects to a high level and doing studies against those? I'm surprised you picked the, I hate to say this, you picked the pumpkin spice latte version of all medicines and decided to analyze it.
You would say that.
I mean, you went after aspirin, acetaminophen, but like, it's just wild to me. You picked the most, like, okay, are you pissed off? I mean, come on, DJT, be honest with me. Let's real talk real, okay? I need you to like hit me up in my tweets or something like that. DM me, I don't give a shit, even though I don't like you, but DM me. Tell me, did acetaminophen do you wrong or not give you a good hangover medicine? Tell me what happened here. Why are you so against acetaminophen? I understand you. Big words are hard for you to pronounce. That's because complex education is lacking in your corner, but that's okay. But just tell me why.
Acetaminophen.
Right? I'm just waiting for you to come back and somebody be like, I shouldn't pick fun, but I'm going to anyways. I'm going to spell it out for you, DJT, if you listen to my podcast later. ibuprofen. That's called ibuprofen. But that might be a little bit hard for you, so I'm going to give you the short version, Advil. So if you go up and make a claim about Advil, just say Advil. Don't say ibuprofen, because you make yourself look like an ass. I mean, you already do already, but like, recognize real for a minute.
It's just wild. How many years did they say that people who took the C-19 vaccine would be unaliving by now? And
right.
This is not 2 years, and I'm like, we're going on 6 just about. Still here, still healthy.
Yeah, I'm still here, and like you're the same dude that stood on in the middle of that whole entire thing when the first vaccine was being discussed. We all remember it, and he was like, "It's okay, we'll just combine it with Clorox bleach." Wait, what? Did you say that again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Drink some sanitizer.
Right.
Huh?
And we have people that are literally taking what this guy says verbatim as true medical expertise.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. Like, we've already had somebody in the administration, I'm not going to name who it was, that flat said, do not take anything I say as professional medical advice, for I do not know what I'm talking about. And whenever we have one person over here already saying this, well, whenever I look at that entire cabinet and sit back and I go look at everybody's background, there's nobody that has a true medical expertise. And I'm sorry, TV Dr. Oz is not a medical expert.
Yeah, I definitely... Yeah, I raised some substantial questions with the qualifications of the people that he surrounds himself with, and you know, yeah.
They're the best.
What?
They're the best.
I'm the most smartest individual about medical science that the world has ever seen.
No, I know everything.
My most trusted resource, RFK over here, great man, gorgeous man, best round of golf ever, told me all about Drano and how it can totally take care of foot fungus. Definitely recommend. 10 out of 10. Super fantastic guy. Right? Like, that's the ludicrous kind of shit we're listening to on a daily basis. And then this guy gets behind the call of Congress, right? Like, okay, so you're the director of HHS or whatever the hell his name is, right? Robert F. Kennedy. And they ask him questions about, like, what was it? Some of them were like, oh, because they were challenging like the gay marriage, right, and the Aberfell Hodges thing, and he gets up there and he goes, he's just like, China is responsible because they're putting gay chemicals in the vapes, and I'm like, what? But what did you just say?
We're all drinking gay chemicals.
I have a brainwave.
And then Senate, like people like Candace Owens and Jasmine Crockett, and even people from the Republican side of the party, right? Like they're up there asking him questions about what are the factual statistics on how we move forward with the HSS with regards to, better health care, Medicaid, all these different things. Valid questions, right? And I think that's great that he's getting it from both sides. And then one of his own challenged him. I think his name was McMurray or something like that from Delaware. And he says, do you know the statistics behind how many people unfortunately lost their lives in the COVID for the United States? And RFK looked at him with that puzzled look like Grandpa does after you've given him medicine and told him it's time to go take a nap. I don't know. What? You've been the director of HHS for 9 months and you don't know the stats on your own studies?
Right. And it's absolutely wild that we've given essentially the village idiots the keys to the fucking castle. I mean,
right.
Like the four of us could go up there right now and do a 10 times better job than what we've got up there.
I'm not even qualified in politics, and I think I could make some better decisions. Just saying.
Well, I mean, hello.
I could do it with no coffee, right?
I think I would do a really good job.
Right?
I mean,
Everyone's got to do a better job than what's going on. Because we could put a robot and just uses AI, and they would do a better job.
Right.
Somebody hires Grok. I put $20 down. Somebody put Grok in charge, please.
Break the language down so people can understand it better.
Right.
I've seen it be used like that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Like,
Gimme. Hold on. Look at Gimmy's comment.
I think we've already derailed this one tonight.
Yeah. I think what it boils down to, everybody, is go see your physician for answers. Stop.
Don't trust the government.
To the Cheeto in charge and stop trusting the government.
Yeah.
Also,
Give you medical advice.
That vitamins and supplements are not regulated. So
Yeah. Wild. We are coming up on 10, 12 minutes. We are running a little bit over, but that's okay because we had a little bit of a late start. I've got the timers running on both sides over here. I know we're at 7:03, but we are 11 minutes and 12 seconds still on docket. So I think this format worked really well last time. I think we're going to end up doing a part 2. What do you think, hosts?
Yeah. We got to talk about
let's do it.
bears next time.
What's that? We got to talk about what?
Bears.
I still have no idea what you just said.
The vaccine.
Where you report any adverse effects for vaccine.
Oh, yeah. Yep, you're right. We do have to cover that. So, okay, for all the guests down there, sorry, Allie is having a dense moment right now. I think I channeled too much of my DJT impression. I suffered an RFK episode. I love you all. I apologize.
You know what would help? You know what would help this country? Legalize spicy cabbage.
If everybody gardened, I think we'd be fine.
Everywhere.
Right.
But with that, we will be doing a part 2. We've all made a consensus here. So next Friday's episode 3 will be a part 2 of this. We'll continue on into more in-depth perspectives of that. But I am going to turn this last 10 minutes. I want to dedicate some time to you guys. Down in the chat, thank you so much for all you being here. It looks like there's 20-some of you there, and we've hit 39,000 likes. I'm so fantastically happy to see that, and the gifts that have come in for everybody that's up here. We can't say thank you enough. But here's your chance to engage. We do not bring on panel at this moment in time. We may do guests in the future. It is something we are talking about. It's not out of the picture, but right now we want to keep it at us 4. But in this part of 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the last part of our podcast, we like to turn this Q&A over to you. If you have a genuine question that you would like to posit down there. Yes, Anodian, we'll get to sub stickers. I'll figure that out.
Yes.
Actually, this is on my actual creator account, so I could actually develop those. That's not a problem. Yeah, so here's the thing. If you have a genuine question, in all honesty, and you really want some kind of answer, and you want to know about something that you see up here, please type it in the comments. We'll answer them as best as we can. And while we wait for questions, I'll do my little PSA. For those of you who are just coming in a little bit late, welcome to the podcast. This is Hot Take News with Allie, or I should say with Phoebe, Stacy, Jedi, and Allison. And we do this every Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are published on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, and YouTube. So if you get a chance, you'll see it. We'll be putting a link up inside of our profiles that has an access to the link tree. You can go listen to this on your off time. But if you like the content, send some love, send some gifts to the panel up here. I appreciate them very much for doing this. Follow if you like more and want to see more of the content. But stay tuned to all of our channels on our YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We publish these once a week. So go ahead and if you have questions, put them down in the chat.
Yes, you guys can follow us. That's fine.
Yes, absolutely. We all four will take your follows.
Yep.
And noting, how would Tylenol thing work? Have those statements been validated by the FDA? Well, that was a 2019 study, and it spanned more than 20 years of their controlled patients that they analyzed. I would guess some aspects probably were validated by the FDA, probably some of them. But I think it would be egregious and erroneous in statistical perspective to say that they got FDA validation for each one of the set of patients that they were looking for.
Yeah, so what it basically said in that study is although some statistics showed that it could be because of Tylenol, they couldn't prove that it was Tylenol. So they said that you shouldn't take it as face value that Tylenol causes autism or ADHD because they could not substantiate that. And they didn't continue the study.
Yeah, needs further analysis, I believe, is what I read in the last few parts of the conclusion.
Yeah, the very tail end, the last two sentences was basically that. It needs further analysis. And the thing is no other health professional or health organization has wanted to pick it up. And you have people like Mayo, Cleveland, all these other major clinics that are all saying there's no need. There's not enough sufficient evidence. If we pick this up, we're just wasting our own money, and there's no need to throw our money at something that has no sufficient evidence to support.
I feel like you might. I feel like now that you said that, that makes me think about something. If you don't have significant findings in your result set,
you don't do a second one.
You're not going to do a second one, nor are you going to have challenge from any. But that's wild because now that you bring that up, that's actually a really good point. That's like 4 or 5 of the different studies that have brought up in contention on our topics that we've been on before, right? When we've been on panels, hell, even the education ones that Phoebe brought up one time, and the guy come up and tried saying that the kids lose attention after a certain amount of time, and he was like, I got this study from 2010. I remember that part explicitly. And we all went back and looked at the study, and we're like, wait, there's never been any research since 2010. How are you using that as factual basis?
Bingo. Columbia, it looked like Columbia tried to follow it, but they abandoned it right away and looked at other genetic sequences that caused autism.
I mean, this was such a big deal that Tylenol responded and updated their website, linking to studies and to other medical associations that support them. Yep. The same day, within hours, I checked the website because I was trying to double check which children's versions my child can have because he can't have gluten. And fun fact for people, gluten's in a lot of medication and they don't label it. So I was scrolling the website and I saw the update.
Yeah. We have another question from Jel. Thank you for that. That's actually a beautiful question. Let me move my screen over. Oh, Discord's not playing nice with Windows.
Oof.
Oh, neither is TikTok Live right now. Ooh, do not crash on me. I'll be real pissed off. Okay, so question from the wonderful guests down in there, Dr. Gelbell. I have a question. How do you feel about the use of Tylenol as a tool to further repress women in society and take away one medication that pregnant individuals had access to? This will relegate women to a position of dependency on their partners and potentially prevent them from working during pregnancy.
You hit the head right on the nail.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I brought up the point. No one talks about the horrific side effects of Viagra.
Yeah, that part too. That's
Just
very
for
true.
a long usage. Nobody talks about those, but they're trying to target women still.
I will be honest. I remember in 2004, 2005 timeframe, back whenever Viagra was sponsoring a major NASCAR company. And they were literally at the track walking around. Viagra, get your Viagra.
Yep.
Walking around Talladega Superspeedway screaming that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I was, let's see here, that age range, I was probably about 12, 13 years old.
You know, a lot of people that have heart conditions.
Yeah. And they were handing out just free samples to the public, and it's like, why?
Yep.
So we did. Go ahead, Phoebe.
When it comes to like pregnant women not having access to Tylenol, and if we're taking it to reduce the fever, now we don't have any options. So now we have to go into the hospital. So now they're going to be monitoring us and charging us for being there.
Yep, it's a cycle. So Randy did ask, they said that they want to talk about publication bias. I don't know what that was in reference to because these were medical studies.
I think that's something we can talk about next week because I was
Yeah.
I was researching VAERS, and I actually found another site that tries to source some of the VAERS information. And when I looked at who wrote the site, a random person.
Yeah, Dr. Joe, that's correct. This is a further medicalization of pregnancy and withdrawal of women's rights. I will agree with you 100%.
Yep, absolutely, 100%.
All right, so we're at 1 hour exactly, and this is where I know everybody loves this. I've gotten so much feedback, and I want to tell you all thank you so much for joining in, even if you joined in late. But when we designed this whole concept of our podcast, we wanted to keep it right at an hour. And that's not because we don't want to engage with you. Please understand from all four of us in the bottom of our hearts, it's not that we don't want to be on lives and have commentary with you or anything like that. We really love being around you. But to keep this format and keep people driving towards listening to the content we're delivering in this engagement, we try to keep it at 1 hour. And I think that's where we're going to stop for the night. We're going to definitely do part 2. So episode 3 will be the version 2 of this. And we're going to go into what Phoebe talked about. Thank you for bringing up all those great points, Phoebe and Stacy, and Jedi and his wife in regards to that. Big hearts out to all four of you for doing all of this, even despite what I've been busy with. Thank you for everybody before I sign off and turn it over to the rest of the hosts to say goodnight for the night. Thank you, everybody that showed up and showed out the gifts. Amazing 45,000 likes. Hit that number just like we did on the first episode. I can't say how blessed and how thankful I am to see you here in that regards. All the gifts that were given to all of us in the panels, I'm without words. I really am. Thanks doesn't do it enough. And so once again, I'm going to turn it over to the host. My name's Allison, primary host or whatever person in big picture here. Look for it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube over the next couple of days. Watch out for link trees in our profiles. We'll be establishing a Discord, too, for those of you who want to join and see what we have and have access to those archives and things of that nature. And with that, I'm going to say, take it away, guests. Go ahead.
And this is Phoebe signing off. I want everybody to have a good night. Stay hydrated. Drink your water. Because that is the first thing you can do for yourself to have a good day.
This is Stacy. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Please tune in next week. This is going to be a two-parter. We did get a little off track tonight. That's all right. We'll always get it back on track eventually. But like always, love yourself, love each other, take care of yourself, take care of everybody around you, and absolutely take your fucking Tylenol if you so need to. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it on down to Jedi. Everybody have a great night and a great weekend.
All right, everybody, this is Jedi. We're going to be signing off. I want to give a special hello to Rylan and Jaylee. Uncle Jedi says hello. Jake, hello as well. Guys, remember to be kind to one another. We're all here on this rock called Earth, and you never know what somebody else is going through, so let's remember to be kind. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, and I'm going to sign out with some music.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.